guys, and I've been pretty blown away. I was only here Thursday, and I couldn't be here yesterday. I'm kind of a last-minute add-on, and actually really honored to be here. Thank God for LinkedIn, huh? LinkedIn's awesome. And it's really cool because it linked all of us, I think, into this room today. And it's pretty amazing. I didn't really know what to expect. I'm really unfamiliar with P20. I didn't know. And sitting here Thursday night, hearing the entrepreneurs, hearing the financial guys, hearing them battle it out a little bit, it was a great night. It was just awesome. And I felt, everything I heard and everything I've heard today, I feel extremely at home because it's all about personal responsibility. It's all about being okay actually, failure is great. The gentleman from the one website, the Aussie, the kangaroo dude, that was an amazing thing what he said. That was an amazing thing what he said. Failure is actually a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing. Us as adults know it, but the kids don't. And the teen panel is when it comes to teens, you can usually hear crickets chirp in a room. When it comes to people gathering around the teen issue, there's very few people that ever show up. People are just flat out afraid of teenagers. They really are. It's like, what do we do with these little monsters in this crazy stage of life from the young ages? Where you can actually, ask them to do something and they somewhat do it, to the teen years where they say, why? So just to give you a little deal on me, my wife and I, we have a real estate design and construction business in North County, San Diego. And also, she actually is a general contractor, so she's an amazing woman. And then I'm the more softy, touchy, feely guy working with the families. Been in it all of my life. And Devin, I just really, man, when you talked this morning and I heard your story, the amazing thing is that you got out. One way or the other, right? You made that choice. But I'm on the phone exactly. I'm on the phone every day with Troubled Teen Rescue talking with families that kids have chosen not to get out. They've chosen to go downhill. And when I first got in the troubled teen industry a little over a year ago, I've been working with teens and families all of my life, both in the local communities, on high school campuses, all over the place. And when you have teen issues, you have family issues. When you have a troubled teen, you usually have a troubled marriage. And when you have a troubled marriage, you usually have troubles with the other kids in the home as well. It's just, it's like a tornado in a home when you have a troubled teen, and it's so catastrophic. So I end up not only trying to help the parents find a place for their child in a therapeutic boarding school, because usually the wheels come off the cart. Not only of the kid, they hit a dead end, and there's just nowhere to go. And the best thing to do is get the kid out of the environment, for two reasons: away from the family and away from the friends, because they need some space, and get them in a safe place where they can begin to process and get down to their core issues. And so that's what I really do with parents. Now, if a parent calls me and they say, hey, we've got this issue, and I don't think they need to go to a therapeutic boarding school, then I recommend coaching, counseling, local therapists, really depending on the situation and the need and what the parent's kind of heart and desire is. But what I found out along the way is, somebody said something to me pretty powerful that I kind of fought with for a while. And they said, it's not a kid problem, it's an adult problem. And I said, but, and the other side of that is, yes, the kids are responsible for their choices, bottom line, right? Devin made a choice. He made a choice to step out. And I'm sure he struggled along the way in doing that, but he did it. So I'm not abdicating personal responsibility, because every kid has it. They made that choice to go do this, that, or the other. And a lot of these kids are self-medicating. That's why they're cutting. That's why they're doing drugs. That's why they're drinking. They're self-medicating. There's a lot of pain going on in their lives and their hearts. 99.9% of every call I get is from a divorced family. Mom and dad couldn't make it and they blew out. My thing, though, is that there's so much hope. And that's the beauty of what we're doing in this room, and that's the beauty of what we're talking about, is it's never the end of the road. There's always hope. There's always a future. There's always an opportunity to say, okay, you know what? We had this crazy divorce and my kids got sucked up in it, but today's a new day. Today we can move forward. Today we can start a new life. And that's the beauty of this whole thing. So my personal story, I've been working with youth all of my life. I have 5 kids aged 14 through 22. You can imagine with 5 kids aged 14 to 22 that one of those is going to be a troubled teen. Well, guess what? I was a troubled parent. Okay, if you had to classify me, I was a drill sergeant parent. Okay, and some of us in this room are helicopter parents. right? We just fly over our kids and save them from all kinds of pain and agony. And then others of us, like myself, just tried to bark with the orders and just make it happen. And both of those are really toxic forms of parenting. So we actually need to move away from that. But my precious daughter at age 6 started to be sexually molested by a family member. And you can imagine she became the troubled teen. And we had no idea. From 6 to 12 years old, as we got together for family events, this other young family member would sneak off into a back room and I don't know what. And it was bad. And it just came out 3 years ago. She's now 17. And we wondered why this girl in particular was struggling so hardcore. Not only that, but she's got high ADHD. And I didn't really understand ADHD. And a drill sergeant father with an ADHD kid is so toxic, it's unbelievable. Right? You got an ADHD kid that their brains are just spinning at 100,000 miles an hour, and they can't almost even process. It's almost like has anybody had a hyperthyroid? Hyperthyroid, like a bzzz. If it's not caught, you die. I mean, your heart just blows out and you go. Well, an ADHD kid a lot of times is in that condition, and then you got a drill sergeant dad like me, and it didn't help at all. And then my daughter's dealing with all this pain and agony, so she starts self-medicating anywhere from pot to massive cutting. We were in the doctor's office the other day. She's a new girl now. She went to a therapeutic boarding school for troubled teens, yeah. But she was in the doctor's office, and the doctor said, "Oh my gosh, sweetie, what's on your arm?" "Oh, that's gone now. I'm done. I've moved beyond that." But anyway, so 6 years of that. It came out 3 years ago, and she was doing ecstasy. She was smoking pot. She was drinking hardcore. She was an absolute disaster, struggling with depression, and I mean, you name it. There's a list of things that typical troubled teens have, and she had every one of those. And with hitting the end of the road with my precious daughter, we finally realized she had to get out of the area, away from the drug dealers, away from the bad friends, away from everything, and even away from the home. It had gotten so toxic, and we escalated constantly in our home. It was just insane. It was totally insane. So we got her out. We got her away. And a year at a therapeutic boarding school not only changed her life, but changed my wife and I's life. We thought we were the parents. I mean, I'd been working with teens and youth all of my life. I've been working with families and marriages and doing this whole deal. But guess what? It was me. I was part of the problem. And so I really learned through the whole process that, gosh, I needed to change for the home to change. And so I'm just so glad today that my daughter's home a year later, and she's finishing high school. She's graduating this year. She wants to go spend a year over in Scotland. England, United Kingdom too. She might go to Harrington. There's a school down there she might go to. So anyway, I'm just really blessed to have that. There was a situation with my son that I remember talking about, a drill sergeant dad. We were doing a project, and if any of you are familiar with the DISC personality assessment, I'm a high D, and a high D is a hard driver, and you see people as objects, not as people, right? They're an end, they're a means to an end, not a person, and that's really toxic, and that's really bad if you got kids and 5 kids and a wife, and you really want to be a loving dad, but you're a high D, so it's a struggle. So my son and I go back to the barn because we're going to do a little bit of work. And I'm on a schedule. We've got to get this done, and we've got to get it done now. He's not moving at my speed. And as a drill sergeant father, you're like, "Son, let's get going. What's your problem? Let's do this." Well, that's over years and years and years. That drains a kid. And all he wanted to do was jump up in the back of the truck because the basketball hoop was right there, and he wanted to throw the ball in the hoop, and because he was like, "Oh, I'm going to dunk this thing, and I'm right here, and this is really cool." But I didn't stop for the moment. And I after, when I said, "Get out of that truck, we got to get this done. Let's get going. What's your problem?" Oh man, I got in my truck, we loaded it up, we started to back up, and then it just hit me. Wow, Rob, you just blew a wonderful little opportunity with your son, and you crushed his little spirit, right? So I said, "Brian, you know what? Dad, I just realized what I did to you, and I'm so sorry." And I felt so stupid that I didn't stop in that moment and spend that time dunking basketballs with my son for 2 minutes. That's all it would have taken, 2 minutes, right? So I've been through the school of hard knocks. And so here I am, in 2012 with this new little company called Troubled Teen Rescue, answering phones from parents all across the United States and helping them both place their children in therapeutic boarding schools. But if that's not right, I've been developing a network of therapists in town where I can really say, hey, you know what, I don't think you need that. Let's send them here. So it's been a crazy, wild ride, and so between coaching and speaking at parent conferences, doing parent conferences, talking about conflict resolution, my passion and my desire is to really see the heart of the family change. And the biggest thing that really strikes me, the thing that's really on my heart right now, is the health of the American family, and it's pretty bad. I mean, if you had to stick a thermometer in it, it's not cooked. It's toxic. We have massive divorce rates that are affecting kids left and right. We have parents and dads that leave and never come back. You guys know I'm preaching to the choir here, and I get the calls often and frequently. The stuff that I coach and I teach on really focuses on some really important things that we've all been talking about here. And that's number one, it's okay to fail, because in failure we learn to succeed. But what happens as parents is we think that somehow that's a bad thing, and we don't want our kids to fail. And so we rush in and we help at every moment. They're failing here, they're struggling here, they're doing something wrong here, and so we rush in. Whether it's defending them in front of this principal because, no, they would never do that. My child would never do that. Or whether it's driving their lunch to school, or they forgot their books, get them in the car and rush them to the school. Or, on and on and on. We're enabling our kids. And we talked about it the first night. We talked a lot about, I'm spacing out here. Entitlement, thank you. We're doing that as a culture in a massive, fundamental way. And you typically find it in the helicopter parent. And I really realized that my wife and I, when we looked at it, we go, gosh, we got a good dose of helicopter in us. And so what we really did is we migrated to a coaching consequential parent. That's the kind of parent that says, hey, let's talk about this. I'm going to give you some options, and then you choose. The kind of parent that doesn't engage in conflict in their children whatsoever. No conflict. You coach them, you give them choices, you let them choose. This really works when that kid turns that adolescent corner at around 12, 13 years old. Okay, you can also do this with the younger kids at a little different level. You're dealing with a different mindset. You're dealing with a different brain, okay, in the younger kids. But when they get older and they start asking questions, it's so hard for us parents to turn that corner into becoming a coaching consequential parent where you really work through things. I really saw it Thursday night when the guys were talking about finances and money. Let them spend their money. Let them figure out. Let them experience the good and the bad, the positives and the negatives. So what I've really found in my 24 years of marriage and 5 kids and talking to parents all across the United States and sometimes the world is that if we just become coaching parents, think of ourselves as counselors, sitting down at the table with our kids, offering them choices and letting them choose and fail or succeed based upon their choice. Because if we do that, it empowers them. And that's the word I heard Thursday night that really excited me. And the argument's out. There's no argument. And they go out and they fail or they succeed based upon their choice. And in that, they learn so powerfully, it's unbelievable. So if you've got conflict in the home, man, I cannot tell you how much the coaching consequential approach completely takes it off the table. To the extent where, you'd say to your kid, you can go out tonight and you can drink and you can drive this vehicle, or you can make the wise choice and not. And what do you think the consequences would be of either one? Well, if I go out and I drink, or if I go out and I don't drink and I could still drive the car, I'm not getting in trouble, I'm not going to the cops. That's right. Which one do you want? It's up to you. Then that kid leaves the house. There's no conflict between you and them. It's all on them. It's all on them, 100%. And so as they begin to turn on a 12-year-old corner, that 12-year-old turn, I love what you talked about the amygdala today. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal stuff. Emotional intelligence. I wasn't here yesterday. I wish I was. The 6-second rule is so important in emotional intelligence. We don't have to escalate with our kids. We can stop and we can count for 6. And there's a disconnect between the amygdala. The amygdala disconnects, the fight or flight disconnects from your brain. And honestly, 6 seconds is all you need. Now, one time I had to count 10 with my wife. But that's not because of her, it's because of me. But literally in 6 seconds, you can stop and count as your kid's sitting in front of you, and begin to approach it from a different way. And you can teach our kids to do that. And you so beautifully said that this morning. So a lot of great stuff out there. If you have any, if you take my cards, they're all on the tables. If you need help with families where you've coached them, you've counseled them, they've been in therapy, they've come at the end of the road, and you just need to get the kid out and bring and all of our schools that we use. All of our schools are, what am I trying to say? They're both focused on individual, group, and family therapy, because the most important thing is restoring the family. That's the key thing, restoring the family. So take my cards, and hopefully there's a contact list from this meeting as well. So if there's a family in an area, that they don't need me, they don't need a therapeutic boarding school, I can say, go see this person, they can work with you. That would be absolutely phenomenal. Thank you.